Just fucking do it. Subscribe now.
Minority sale, meaning that you don't have much power to put your price. There is a EBITDA of 62 million in the year of the negotiations. So how much is a minority share worth when you don't have any power to take any decision on the management of the thing? They've lost it. At 25, they had some sort of veto rights that they lost. So the first option would be to sell. You can sell to anyone. Okay, I'm assuming that you won't get full value for what you're worth based on the fact that you have nothing to say in this company. Das Spiegel is the most known media company in Germany. So obviously it's still worth something. But so the EBITDA is 62. The second option is sell to employees themselves. I mean, the shareholders already existing. Employees makes more sense because well, obviously selling to employees is always something. Finding a right price would be the problem for the heirs because, again, they don't have any power for the moment. So selling their shares would have this disadvantage of the minority share. The other side of the coin is, can we try to buy back the 1%, which was sold, which at the time the option was exercised for $5 million. Now, how much do we buy it for? How much do we offer to buy it back if we can? So using a bit of the QLA model, we would try to ask for a seller finance and try to finance it through, it's not free cash flow. This is the type of money that you have available every year to issue dividends. So the idea would be to ask for a seller finance for 4 or 5 years, give them a crazy price like 45 million for something that you just sold for 5 million because you're buying back a veto right. This is not just share valuation. But finance it through the possible dividends that 24% of the company gets, meaning 1/4 approximately of this. So let's say we have 62 available for dividends. You'll probably get 15 a year. So you spread it out to 6 years or so and offer them a price that is paid back through the company itself. So that's the only two options I would think is, we thought were possible. The downside of the first one is that you're selling a minority. That means they will hold you by everything they can, and pushing your own price might be more difficult. Buying the second, which would be at literally 9 times more than the price you sold it 2 or 3 years ago, be more logical, but paid out of the seller finance from the dividend itself. With the condition, of course, that all the shareholders agree to issue dividends at the time so that they can get their money. That's how, these are the options we thought. Any comments from you guys? Tell me.
You know how it was resolved?
No.
They didn't go public?
Wow, that's a brilliant idea. We didn't think of that, but that's a great idea.
Christ.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
No.
This is why I've been living in a castle, as opposed to a east, whatever the side of the park you live on, Yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer. Well, I guess it's not a no-brainer. It's less your 4 brains. I mean, it's a natural. Come on, 13, Jesus. I've been bragging about you.
I thought that they already were public.
Yeah, the spread is massive between what they paid and what they may have to pay. In fact, there's no calculation. I mean, it's whatever essentially to get it back, whatever they want, and whatever they want is certainly not what it's worth. Hence, without a seller finance, it's impossible. And where are they going to get the cash flow to pay? Even the seller finance, they wouldn't go to a bank because the bank would just laugh at them. But I mean, you could take that public and then solve it all with one fell swoop. It would also give liquidity to the family, to the workers, and everybody. I don't believe in win-win situations, but I mean, it could be a win-win situation. And then you get the kudos for coming up with the idea, whoever came up with the idea. Now remember, the public scenario or the public model can be a gilt-edged panacea. It can be the be-all. Because once it goes public, they soon forget, and they normally value public shares against the balance sheet. They use debt equity ratios, et cetera, but they it soon is valued and trades on the philosophy of, what did it close at yesterday, not what the guy bought out, 10 or 20 years before. IPO or a private placement. Private placement, which is kind of a half-assed IPO, but you have to put together a selling document, and that's why many of my mentees have gotten in trouble because they were sold shares without the one, license, and two, the proper disclaimers that you're selling securities. So a private placement or an IPO would solve this. Private placement sooner, IPO very expensive, but I mean they're making enough money. I mean it's not like they're starving to death. Yeah. Any other questions?
So, Tim chose, who is a retail distributor of lumber like plywoods, planks, etc. The company is trying to draw money to extend their credit limits from 465. Working capital from 247 to 250, and
Are those thousands or millions?
1,000.
Okay.
The other one is the line of credit. They increased it to 465K. I believe they want to know if it is worth doing it.
Oh, it's always worth doing it. It depends on the cost. What's the cost to do this?
I believe the interest rate is somewhere 10%, and the other one is probably 11. So I'm guessing if, as long as the seller EBITDA is not negative, they can still continue and do it.
Well, I mean, you can always do it even if it's negative. I mean, they're gonna it may be cash flow negative, but a bank's not entering a transaction like that if it's going to be cash flow negative for a long time. The short-term cash flow negative would have to turn into intermediate cash flow positive, long-term cash flow positive, and that depends on what their business model is, what the ROIs are, et cetera, et cetera. So to say it's possible, the answer is yes. To say if it was doable, you have to have more information. So what other information do we have to substantiate them going out and doing this? Where are they located? We don't know?
I don't know.
This is the kind of deal that, see, you would look for information, especially you. This is the kind of deal I'd close up. Doesn't matter what the number is. If you come away with nothing more from here, you only need this many lines of data. Now, I don't know in terms of coding or algorithm or shit like that, but that's not much data, is it? And you spent, well, a little Trumpism exaggeration now. You spent your motherfucking lives looking for the end of the tunnel that doesn't exist. So you're looking for a light at the end of the tunnel. And in your cases, the light's a train going to run you fucking over. It's not the light at the other end of the mountain. You don't know. You don't need And the fact that he doesn't know it,
Maryland, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, Maryland. Well, that's unless my geography is wrong. Maryland is about 750 miles from Massachusetts. Maryland's near Washington D.C. Massachusetts is north of New York City. I don't know. I've never heard of a Maryland. There may be a Maryland, Massachusetts. I don't know that.
Could be a different company. Sorry.
So, not that I wouldn't pursue it, but what does he need to know?
Should we even bother with it? Because it's not a case of buying a business. It's something unrelated to QLA.
No, but it is, because you and 5 or 6 others of you would look for the answers. You have looked for the answers. Your deals are not even bastardized QLA roll-ups. By your own admission. Well, no, but I mean, if my results were as good as you following the QLA model, I'd be out of business 29 years ago. You guys aren't following the QLA. Some of you are. So, and you would look to find out. My point is, all you need is these 5 lines. Is it 5? 1, 2. Yeah, these 5 lines. That's all you need. And to the extent, I'm not telling you can find people virtually, etc. But back in the day, I had people that just produced these numbers for me. And then I trained somebody to look for these numbers. And then I had 6 or 7 or 8 people that could read these numbers. And then we were going through thousands of opportunities a month, i.e. Anelli. He didn't get that $192 million because he fell off the turnip truck. 7 days a week, 18 hours a day. Remember, we started the seminar back in the day when you went to the first one, and this one, success leaves clues. So why wouldn't you? Forget me. People have already discounted why I made a lot of money. It was back in the Neanderthal days. People were stupid. They didn't have computers. I've heard it all, okay? But let's take a more current crop. How do you find these deals? For the most part, everybody said cold call, the good deals. Gee, and how many cold calls? Remember we used to put it on your weekly report, for those of you that have been in the program long enough? How many cold calls? 0. How much time did you spend, reinforcing your QLA knowledge? 5 minutes. And if you had, of the 73 questions, if you had, 50, 60 that said, remember I told you, don't say I didn't do it. I say, I cunted out. And this is a manifestation of you not following it. So to the extent that we don't need this information from him, why did you look for it then? Because if we didn't need it for him, we certainly don't need it for you. Because we have a proclivity for making things, not that Warren Buffett says it, I don't give a shit, but he says the human being, Homo sapien, has he doesn't use the word proclivity for making things a lot more difficult than they need to be. That's why it's important. The point's important, not the fact that you can't find the fucking information. The fact that you would even look for it is the point. And I've said it at least 25 times. What have you learned from this deal, if anything?
This is the first time I was, reading like this kind of case studies, and I just have to improve.
Well, everybody in this room, including myself, has to improve. Now, I'm not making fun of the group before you, but IPO jumped and bit me in the dick with no erection. And then private placements slapped me, pinched my nipple. obviously, and how long did you guys look at it? Now, he says that he assumed they were public, okay? But you guys looked at it 30 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, half, whatever? Whatever time you spent, it was more time than was necessary. And when you get to the point that you can just, now I can feed through a whole balance sheet and an income statement, call them like this, and I can pick these 5 lines out and internalize it in my own head, because sometimes, you get an annual report or accounts, financials, and the income statement's here, and that next still goes in the trash. And when you get to that point, and some of you are close, and then all you have to do is add 1 or 2 or 3 zeros, or knots, as I think they say here, and then you're in business. Now you're all envious, as you should be. Trades for steel, and revenues are up, I don't know, 40, 50, 60%, whatever they are. And that's, you should be envious of that. He tells you about the hair, that is currently on the deal. He's not selling that to the bank. But we have people that have done deals like this and then tell the bank, go back to the bank, I'm not sure if I can meet debt service next year. You didn't ask me this, you didn't ask me this, Now, that's classic self-sabotaging. Why would you do that? Why would you come home with lipstick on your collar and you're married, not your wife's lipstick? Can't you buy $8 shirt at Walmart and fucking change shirts? How smart, forget how much bad you want success or how bad you want to keep your marriage together. How fucking stupid are you? Because there's a lot of Sharpies out there. And if you remember the last interview that Peter Harasti, the Hungarian Forrest Gump, said, now I'm out there fighting with the sharks every day. And he's big and successful. And it's hard to fight with the sharks when you're little teeny, amoeba. Thank you anyway. Thank you.